East Rutherford The Giants are not likely to save Ben McAdoos' job on the field this season. They were a bad football team before injuries decimated their roster, and while they might rally for a few victories, it sure looks like 16 is headed for 313 or 412, so then you wonder what could McAdoo do over the final 9 weeks of the season to prove that he should return for another. For starters, he has to show that the players still believe in him and listen to him. He has to handle each crisis that lands off his desk effectively. He has to deliver the correct message to the media and, by extension, the paying customers. If Giants respect Ben McAdoo, they need to start showing it, and, most of all, he has to demonstrate the type of leadership skills that will make ownership shrug off the disastrous results in his second season and, even with a fan base that is already clamoring for change, reaffirm its belief in his ability to be a successful head coach. How's that going so far? I'm already on record that John Mara, an owner who always errs on the side of caution when making franchise-shaping decisions, is going to have to clean house in the off-season. I've been looking for evidence to prove that opinion was premature, but other than a spirited performance against a flawed Broncos team, I can't find any. To the contrary, each passing week just seems to throw another log onto the dumpster fire. Taken on its own, the Janoris Jenkins no-show and suspension isn't a huge deal. He returned late from the team's bye week. He failed to call McAdoo and explain his whereabouts. The coach then hit his star cornerback with an indefinite suspension that will cost his roughly $750,000 for each game that he misses. It's my responsibility to take action, and when you have discipline that needs to be taken care of, you have to handle it, McAdoo said. If you don't handle it, that's a poor reflection. I think for the best of the program, the decision had to be made. But what happened with Jenkins is hardly an isolated incident. He is already the third cornerback to create a headline that calls McAdoo's leadership into question in just the past month. This was the scene at Giants headquarters on Wednesday. Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, who was suspended 3 weeks ago for his own violation of team rules and briefly cleaned out his locker in anger, explaining that he was shocked at Jenkins' suspension because he's a real competitor who is well respected in the team's locker room. The 50 greatest NFL players from NJ. There is consequences to everything you do, Rodgers-Cromartie said. Whether you feel like you're right or wrong, there are certain ways to handle things, and if you do it the wrong way, you got to pay for it. Did you catch that part in the middle? Whether you feel like you're right or wrong, that doesn't exactly sound like a player who is all that convinced he deserved his own punishment. A few locker stalls away, cornerback Eli Apple, who was one of 3 players who didn't make it back in time from the 5-day bye-week vacation, wasn't exactly contrite when he cited a little flight stuff for showing up late. Apple had previously pointed to the whole culture as a reason for his own poor play and the team's horrific start. Jenkins, remember, isn't new to the McAdoo doghouse. He ran off the dismal loss to the Chargers on October 8, and then fled the locker room with his defensive coordinator chasing after him. Before the media could ask him questions. If any of this happened on its own, it wouldn't be a big deal. All of this taken together, and with the questionable way McAdoo handled the situation when he addressed reporters on Monday. Look, maybe fans don't care that McAdoo lied, and that's the right word to the media when asked about Jenkins on Monday. He tried to pass that off as protecting the player 2 days later, but the episode is only going to fuel a bigger disconnect between the coach and the media covering the team. If you don't think that's important, you're forgetting how Tom Coughlin, at the urging of his family and team officials, worked to soften his image when it appeared his tyrannical reputation would get him run out of town. Coughlin, like all successful coaches do, adjusted that McAdoo doesn't handle the media well isn't an issue on its own. See Bill Belichick for proof of that. But it is hard not to keep wondering, what exactly does he do well? The team's performance isn't likely to save McAdoo. He has 9 weeks to show that he can handle crises, keep the locker room from splintering, and provide this franchise with leadership during what is shaping up to be the most tumultuous season in recent history. How's that going so far? Steve Politi may be reached at spoliti@advancemedia.com. Follow him on Twitter at Steve Politi. Find NJ.com on Facebook.